Well, the big parade is over. The protesters have gone home to their parents' basements and Obama calendars, and the winds have changed once again. It's truly amazing how this so-called cleansing of the world is taking place. Regarding the cleansing that must occur, we all expected a fast X-lax, and honestly, we're getting colace. But the important thing is that it's working so far. If we watch our diet of media propaganda, eventually we'll be able to kill the woke virus that has destroyed the democracy that Americans have always taken such pride in, touting it to the world and thinking that we are better than the rest of the world. It is occurring to me that this awakening has several purposes. The obvious one is to remove the deep state control over the world and its governments. Then there is a financial redistribution that is a promise of unprecedented prosperity for all hardworking people across the world. Next, we have to heal the world, which is likely not going to happen until the woke mind virus has been eliminated across the world. Let me explain why. We know that the deep state must be disempowered. That can only happen when they don't have enough money to influence the minds of people of the world. No more woke movies, woke media, woke politicians, and no more woke money. Well, the tides are changing, albeit slowly. There is an ex-migrant shelter director named John Featherson who is blowing the whistle on what the Democrats were doing in the shelters. He said that he was in charge of a migrant shelter in Marlborough, Massachusetts, and it was the biggest mistake of his life. This is what happens when you sell your soul, whether knowingly or ignorantly. Featherson said that he helped out at a couple different sites, and about a year ago, he'd have 10 empty rooms but still bill the state $180 a night for those empty rooms. Now he's wanting sympathy because bilking the taxpayers from all that money cost him a lot. Yes, he had the money, but the physical violence, mental torture, and rapes of little girls that he drove to the police station has all taken a toll on his mind. Well, I say join the club, John. Do you have any idea how many millions of good, ethical, and empathetic people have had nightmares over the behaviors that you facilitated and enabled? And Americans aren't done yet. We have to sit now and listen to the confirmation of all the horrors that we already knew but were helpless to stop. You could have stopped it, but it's only now that the money train has stopped that you are bothered by what you did. He now is saying that the state knew about the rapes and crime, but they covered it up. My guess is that divisions of the federal government who were dumping the money into it knew also. Don't get me wrong, we are grateful that you have now come out, and I suspect that you still are at risk for revealing this, but you are going to have to pay your dues if you knowingly enabled crimes. Perhaps this sudden epiphany is part of a plea deal, which we may never know about. Featherson is now saying that just the Uber bills for these migrants was over $100,000 a month. Does that horrify you? Well, it should if you pay taxes in Massachusetts or any other sanctuary city. And the protesters and the politicians and judges sneaking these criminals out back doors to kill and rape again aren't getting a pass. We expect you to roll over because so many that were involved in propagating this abduction will be small fish. So if you have culpability, I'd cooperate with authorities and make a deal while you can. Now, Featherson, a willing participant, is calling for the prosecution of the mayor and others, but appears to believe that he doesn't have a debt to pay to the people of America. Nate Friedman did a show on it that I will link in the video for you to watch the entire account by Mr. Featherson. Nate went to the unmarked Holiday Inn in which all the signage had been covered and found an illegal driving out of it in a brand new car that lives there and bought the car himself. When asked how he got the money, he was told, "They are paying us." Then Featherson went on to say that if he lives in the shelter in Marlborough, he gets free housing every day and free meals every day, but he also will likely be getting EBT benefits, WIC benefits, a cell phone, and an iPad computer through the Obama phone program. So all of his expenses are free, and to live in that shelter you need to be part of a family. So he's also got kids and taking in about $3,800 a month in EBT benefits alone if he has 1 or 2 kids. His spouse probably gets another $400 a month from WIC and crisis cards. The shelter also provided free diapers and formula, which he found were being sold because the immigrants had plenty of money from the benefits. They were also selling 1 or more of their EBT cards on the black market. So in addition to their food and shelter, migrants in this facility were making about $50,000 a year in disposable cash. How does that make you feel, guys? Are you behind in your mortgage? Maybe you are like Tim and I, who couldn't afford to go out to dinner on our anniversary and are buying our food through a new discount store who has discontinued and short-dated foods. Don't get me wrong, we're fine and we love saving at this place, but I've never been in this financial position before, and I'm sure many of you have also had to tighten your belts. We are all doing everything we can to maintain some resemblance of our old lives while these illegals are living high on the hog, and most don't even appreciate it. This is why Americans are done with this crap, and so are people across the world caught up in the same highly funded agenda to destroy our society. By the way, keep your eye out for another video coming out soon where I trace the dollars from George Soros to the protesters with validated numbers from official government records. So this is where we find ourselves, but make no mistake, the tides are changing. Immigrant scams, political corruption, organized schemes to destroy the economy, left lies, and yes, outright actors playing the part of government officials is being exposed. It started with the auto pen signatures that the media and the left have desperately tried to mitigate and suppress, and you and I know that the fruit from this poison tree is about to be revealed to be even worse than Eve's apple. The parades are over, but the seed has been planted. The protests did nothing but be overshadowed by Trump's celebration of the Army's 250th birthday, and everybody is waking up with a hangover from the media chatter. Today, that new day has dawned with a new narrative, namely, who is in the White House acting as president. That's right, the Sleepy Joe autopen has rightly caused the masses to question whether Joe Biden was ever in the White House at all. This brings us back to the narrative that many of us heard during the days of Q. Now I want to make it clear for the Google and YouTube powers that I am not confirming anything. I am simply presenting history as it was told by many alternative podcasters back in 2017 and 2018. And to be honest, I stopped maintaining that anything that we have heard is fact, and I use my foundation to observe the events unfolding around us and wonder at the genius that devised this apparently well-planned psyop of life in the world. I don't know if you get where I'm going with this yet, but think autopen and who is running the White House. Many believe that Joseph Robinette Biden physically died before the 2020 election and that he was played by a variety of actors over the years. Some believe he died of natural causes, while others maintain that he was arrested and executed by a secret military tribunal, either at Guantanamo Bay or elsewhere. I'm not here to confirm or deny this. I sit with open ears and open eyes. Joseph Biden did change drastically after the Obama administration exposure. He went from a virile, cogent politician to a doddering old man in 4 short years. I find that strange. It was one of the fastest cases of aging that I've ever seen in my life. Then he was largely kept out of the public eye with his basement campaign and unending quarantines, which brings to mind whether the entire COVID timing had anything to do with that election. It's really obvious when you think about it. But let's move on. Then we see a fumbling president in front of the camera for years, almost like it was on purpose. Of course, the narrative was that nobody around him saw his mental decline. Come on. He's falling off stages, forgetting what he's saying mid-sentence, and not having a clue where the door of the White House is. Who in their right mind could not notice that? So they had to replace him with someone that would continue to allow whoever was running the country to continue without impediment. And they found Kamala Harris, who coincidentally was already in the White House, to run for president against Donald Trump. The worst possible candidate that ever was, who could do nothing but nervously laugh whenever she was in front of a camera. Does anyone really think that the Democratic Party was trying to win with those two? I'm not saying that a choice wasn't made, and I don't believe that the White Hats would deliberately put someone in office to flood this nation with illegals and destroy the economy, but anything is possible. I like to believe that scenarios were laid out and the dark hats took the bait, which unfortunately landed us in this situation. Kind of like Aikido, where you let the opponent's movements destroy them. Then there is a really hard to consider possibility, which is that the White Hats were in charge. The deep state capitulated and agreed to put the biggest joke of a president ever in the White House to create the worst conditions on earth, to teach us a lesson that we must never forget. This scenario would likely take more psyops like Ashley Babbitt and others, who might never have died and assumed new identities. But many did die, as evidenced by the pain of their loved ones that the administration has demonstrated to us. This would also mean that the White Hats had already anticipated and planned the changes to fix it all, even better than before, and they unfortunately were unable to avoid all collateral casualties in what is truly a war. If the White Hats have been in charge all along, they made some hard choices that they are living with, but I truly don't think that's it. I think we had the goods on all of them. We gave them enough rope and they have exposed themselves. Now the true hard disclosure begins, which brings me to my newsflash, as my wonderful husband Tim would say. A lot has been going on in alt news channels that have perked my ears up. Most notably, it started with recent podcasts from Dr. Michael Salla, implying that the Galactic Federation of Worlds has betrayed us. Like we all would, I first felt my energy and hope drop, but it's never that simple, guys. I have no reason why Dr. Salla has disseminated these thoughts, and since then, he's even backtracked it a little, saying that he was only presenting the doctor's view and it was not his. So I went and checked on a video by Elena that popped up on my feed, and it brought great clarity and comforted my soul as she always does. Here's the deal, guys. There has been a long-awaited alien false flag that we've heard about. Well, get ready because it looks like there's nothing else notable that must occur before the false flag, and we are in preparation for it right now. We are being pre-programmed that the Federation has turned its back on us and is going to invade us and take over or some such nonsense. We always expected that when the Federation made itself known that there would be misinformation and lies to make us mistrust them. There has even been the establishment of a confusing New World group with a very similar name, which I've covered in the past. So they are putting out narratives out there to turn you against the Federation of Worlds. Again, I want to emphasize that this is pre-programming for the Blue Beam holographic event that has been predicted. What you can expect is a combination of aircraft that are old technology from the Greys and others combined with holographic displays to create fear. I don't have a date and it probably won't be immediate, but I want you to know that everything is going as planned and the Galactic Federation of Worlds has not turned on us. It's just more deception. In fact, I reached out to Dan Willis to ask him what was going on, and he responded that he's jamming on a production this week called Evidence, and I'll share more when completed, but I'm excited to see this because Dan is not a frequent poster. So I will keep you posted, and what I can tell you is that if anybody has the scoop, it's Dan. So expect to hear more disclosure. Expect an alien attack in the future that will rival the War of the Worlds, and get ready for the next attraction on this wild ride. Until next time, I can only say, enjoy the greatest show on Earth as we take back our world.